Hi, my name is Alicia and this is Red Royal. This is my first video and introduction to YouTube. What I wanted to do for this video was just a basic introduction about me and myself and what I think that my channel will be, then my June TBR. So I am an avid reader of all things fantasy, but I do also like Gothic literature, historical fiction, and some sci-fi. I see my channel mostly being centered around books and some of the more debatable topics that are broached in them. But I do also have many other interests, such as vintage and historical fashion, especially the Victorian era.
Why are you running? Why are you running?
Drawing and painting, dancing, and I'm sure I'll talk about all of these at some point or another. I post a lot about all of this kind of stuff on Instagram, so if you're interested, I will have my page linked down below. Also, I don't expect my upload schedule to be particularly regular. I'm currently a student studying neuroscience at the moment, and that takes up a majority of my time. I'm not really sure what else I should say about myself, so if you have any questions, let me know. But I'm just gonna move on to the part that I'm actually excited about, which is the TBR. So I have actually quite a few books on my TBR for this month. I am posting this video later in the month than I would have liked to, so I thought first I would talk about, what books I've already read in this month, and then what I plan to read and am currently reading. The first book that I read this month was The Ghost Bride. I am missing the dust jacket for this, so sorry. And this was a little bit disappointing. So the premise of it and what really drew me in was it is a fictional story set in Malaysia following a girl who has been kind of sucked into the afterlife prematurely. So there is a very old tradition that sometimes if a young couple dies before they get the chance to be married, that their parents will marry their spirits so that they can be married in the afterlife. But she was given a proposition that's very unheard of, which is that a young boy that has already died, his family has asked her to marry his spirit or his ghost or whatever. She is still a living, breathing person, so she does everything in her power to fight this. And I'm not going to get into too much of a spoiler in case you are interested. I found this book to be kind of a letdown because the premise sounds super, super cool, and I have read a book by this author before and I really, really loved it, but I ended up DNFing it because it just wasn't, the pacing was really weird. It was really fast in some parts and really, really slow in other parts, and it just for the most part kind of dragged out. I just found myself not really that connected to what was happening with the characters, and because of that, I didn't really care. So I ended up DNFing this. One thing that I forgot to mention is that because my time is very, very limited with school, a lot of times I have to force myself to DNF books that I'm not really enjoying or that are slowing me down because I don't want to end up in a reading slump, because it will be months before I get out of that because I have so many other things that I usually have to do. The next book I wanted to talk about was Mexican Gothic. I finished this at the beginning of June. I read it on audiobook, and it was interesting. I love a good Gothic atmosphere, and this definitely delivered on that. It was amazing how the author dangled the truth in front of you the entire time, but you couldn't, or I couldn't at least, put it together until the very end. I'm not going to say anything else about this book because it would be very easy to spoil it, except that if you like a good Gothic novel, definitely try this out. So what I'm currently reading are two books. So The Night Circus, which is one of my favorite books of all time. I love this book. I adore this book. So yes, I have read it before, but I'm rereading it because I read it a couple years ago now, and I'm forgetting things, and that is absolutely unacceptable. So I have to reread it. So I'm reading this on audiobook right now, actually. But I do own the physical copy because it is one of my favorites. And then I'm also reading Scythe. So this was a book that was really, really popular on YouTube a couple of years ago, maybe more than just a couple at this point. I've had it for a while now and have just kind of been like, I'm not huge into like science fiction, dystopian kind of things, so I don't know if I'll like it. I like it. I understand what the hype is all about now. I really like it. I'm like halfway through now and I'm probably gonna end up finishing it today. It's so good. So basically, they have gotten rid of disease and famine and basically any natural deaths. And even if you were to die, they still have ways that they can bring you back. The only way that you can die is through a scythe killing you. Because they still need population control, they have people whose job it is to kill off people, and they are called the Scythes. And basically this follows 2 apprentices of a scythe. Yeah, it's really cool. So the next 2 books that I wanted to read after I was done with those was Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. I am a huge fan of Leigh Bardugo. I have read 6 of Crows and will soon be reading Crooked Kingdom, and I've also read The Ninth House, and I loved both of those books so much. And I'm ashamed to say I have never read Shadow and Bone, and now there is a television adaptation out and everybody's talking about it, and in order to avoid being spoiled, because I know it's coming, I'm gonna read this book. And then hopefully I'll like it and continue on with the rest of the series. So the next book that I plan to read is The Blood Mirror by Brent. So this is the 4th book in the Lightbringer series, which I started reading 4 years ago. Because I'm in school, the only time I really have to dedicate to this series is during the summer. So I've been reading one of these books every summer for the past 4 years, and this will make the 4th book. So basically, this series surrounds a world with a really fascinating magic system. This magic system surrounds the visible light spectrum. Certain people in this world can basically harness the power of the visible spectrum and turn that into luxin, or different forms of luxin, which is a physical substance created by this light. Each color on the visible spectrum will produce a different form of luxin that gives off that has different chemical properties and all that kind of stuff. So it's really, really in-depth. And this book also follows a lot of politics, because it follows some people that are very high up in the world. And because of that, they are very dense books. And then the next books on my TBR is the Gone series. So I do not plan to read this entire series in the month of June. I think that would be a feat that is well beyond me and my capabilities. But I do plan to at least read the 1st book. So this is a series that I started a couple years ago and for whatever reason never got through. I think I just had so many other books come up that I wanted to read more. And I was thinking about this and I was like, you know what? Really, really enjoyed that series. I need to go back to it because I never actually finished it. I think I got like part of the way through the 3rd or 4th book. I can't remember. But I have the entire thing here and my plan is to marathon them throughout the summer. I want to have this completed by the time the fall semester starts. So anyways, that is all of my books that are on this month's TBR. Stay tuned to see what next month will bring and how many books I'll be able to finish this month. Wish me luck. So the biggest reason that I wanted to start making videos was because I love talking about books. So feel free to message me in the comments about your opinions on any of the books on this list. No spoilers, please. Also, if you were wondering who was making so much noise, it was this little guy. Alright, thanks for watching. Bye!